Good evening. This is Toshio Okada's manga, Anime Yawa. Tonight is session 9 of the Mobile Suit Gundam lecture, the third and finally the last part on episode 3, Vote to Attack. Thanks for waiting. Laughs. 8888. Tuesday outfit. Comment. That's right, I wear this every Tuesday. We keep a full set hanging in the studio, so on Tuesdays I can even come in pajamas or sweats and get changed here. A normal suit. Comment. Sort of. Not a normal suit. It's my Tuesday suit. Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin is airing on NHK now, and I watch. In The Origin, Char is the protagonist. Last week he entered the Zeon military academy and met Garma Zabi. Char Aznable is top tier at everything: sports, drills, studies. So Garma Zabi, the youngest son of the Zabi family ruling the Principality of Zeon, is riddled with inferiority. The climax of Sunday's episode was a mountain march exercise. Char kept pressing ahead at the very front. Garma, barely managing to keep second place, pushed himself to stick with Char. He lacks stamina and athleticism, so he ought to be mid-pack, but pride kept him chasing. Then, a heavy rain starts. Managed weather inside the colony. Rain here for this many hours. Everyone shelters, Char included. The moment it eases to a drizzle, Garma seizes the chance, risks it, and sprints past Char. Char notices Garma's sneaky dash with a quiet HN kind of look. But forcing himself on a slick, unfamiliar trail, Garma slips, falls off a cliff, and gets hurt. Char arrives, notices something's wrong, and spots Garma below. He gives up his lead, climbs down, and rescues him. Saved by his rival, Garma blurts from shame, "Leave me! No, just kill me! You could never understand my feelings. You can't know what it means to be a son of the Zabi family." A raw, honest cry. In that instant, Char likely felt a spark of friendship for Garma. Char props 4 poles, throws up a tarp, and says, "Well, your palace," to keep Garma dry. In the original manga, the scene looks like this. "Well, your palace." Yoshikazu Yasuhiko's distinctive paneling makes it a bit hard to read. The key is Char's eyes. He usually hides them behind sunglasses, but when Garma looks back, we can see Char's eyes through the lenses. In manga, eyes visible through sunglasses signals true feelings. Yasuhiko draws them carefully, what you'd call gentle eyes. The anime shows the same eyes. Almost identical in the anime, framed so only one eye shows, and it's gentle. Why does Char look so gentle toward Garma? Because Garma shouts what Char has long wanted to say, but couldn't. "You can't possibly know my feelings. You don't know what it means to be a Zabi. If Char said that aloud, everything he's built and the front he's forcing himself to keep would crumble. Garma can blurt it out without shame, even to a rival. On the surface, Char looks down on him, but deep inside it claws at Char's own heart. Char doesn't want to admit any of this. So Char's lines in this origin episode are really sparse. His acting rarely exposes his inner life. After this, Garma grows close to Char and suddenly moves into his room at the academy dorm. Char already had a roommate, but Garma forces a swap to bunk with him. Char can't help but laugh at the sheer naivete. Later, Char finds Garma asleep at his desk, having studied hard to keep up. Char gently drapes a blanket over him. How should we read Char's behavior here? Since he never shows his inner life, you could read it cynically. Be nice now and profit later. Fake friendship to win favor. But if that were true, the scene wouldn't stop at the blanket. Next morning, Garma would thank him. Char would reply, "Naturally, you're my dear friend," then smirk to himself. Only then would a manipulative reading be complete. Because we don't get that, along with the gentle eyes shot, we see the duality, Char's inner conflict, on display. This is his own mistake of youth, he can't admit. Like opening your heart to someone you shouldn't, or swearing off friends yet feeling friendship anyway. That's the slip he makes here. Seen in a larger arc, this hints why Degwin Sotozabi and Dozelzabi dote on Garma so much. Garma has a rare gift. He can show his own weakness to others. It's exactly what Char most wanted, but couldn't attain. As a child, when Kycilia Zabi barged into his room, Char tried to speak plainly to an adult, but couldn't. Garma, meanwhile, does exactly that. Talks honestly to adults without hesitation. So what feelings does that stir in Char toward Garma? The scene plants that foreshadowing. Degwin and Dozel don't just coddle him, they recognize that gift. It's something Girin and Kycilia lack, the power to be loved. Girin is feared and respected, but fatally short there, so Degwin treats him as a mere stopgap. When Dozel says, "Garma will surpass me someday," he means not just talent, but a broader potential. The TV series of Mobile Suit Gundam pushes that side of Garma way back. Episode Isolina, Love's Remains, asks why Isolina Eschenbach loved him that much. And why Char sinks into gloom after killing him himself, showing Garma's many sides. Even so, parts still feel under. Even the origin, up to here, struggles to convey it fully. That's Garma's appeal. Clear to the truly capable. Talented people recognize, I don't have that, and feel it. the less capable just see a spoiled rich kid. Since that's subtle psychology, I explain the origin version for once. Compare it later with TV episode 12, The Threat of Zeon, and Char's Because You're a Boy. We'll revisit that in this lecture series. Now for part 3 of Vote to Attack. Here are the highlights. We finally get into full-on battle scenes. Until now, White Base has been purely on defense. At last, Amuro's side goes on the attack. But just as you think, how will their attack go? The camera, our viewpoint, shifts fully to Zeon. White Base fights like amateurs, while the Zeon side moves with overwhelming professionalism. That cool, professional Zeon interplay is today's highlight. Just as their pro-response to being attacked comes into view, we hit the bumper right before commercials. Watch how cool the Zeon old-timers are around that bumper. Your host, Toshio Okada, is swooning over them. Laughs. The good guys strike the enemy during resupply, arguably the first time in anime history. Laughs. It makes for a wonderfully strange, exciting battle. Enough preamble. Alright then, let's start the Gundam lecture. As Gundam shouts, the conveyor pipes hit, separate from Musai. A Zeon crewman overlaps him. Second wave incoming. 7, 6. From the first report, object like a missile approaching. Char and Gundam accept impact as inevitable, and rush to separate the two ships to prevent a chain explosion. While they're barking separate the ships, someone calls, second wave incoming. Char. Gundam. Jettison the Zakus we brought. He's abandoning supply via the conveyor pipe. Dump them into space and launch. Gundam. I'll manage. The countdown races. 2-1. They skip the full 7-1 countdown and focus on Char and Gundam's rapid-fire decisions. We know the missiles are coming. What's next? Compared to the chaos on White Base, the Zeon officers are just so cool. They don't hunt for blame or root causes like, why didn't we see them? They ask, what do we do now? A chain blast sinking both ships is worst. Separate first. Then, with the conveyor pipe unusable, jettison the Zakus into space. And in that instant, boom! The next missile hit. The camera cuts to Gundam. We must get the Zakus to Char, he orders his men. He means, forget the ship. We're already hit. Dump whatever we can. Mobile suits, weapons, ammo, rations, into space and deliver them to Char. Then 3 lines fire in rapid succession from Gundam, Char, Gundam. We must get the Zakus to Char. Char. Matthew, fix, suit up and transfer to the Zakus outside. Dren. Fire all available Coda missiles on a flat trajectory. Each gives the optimal order for the moment. Gundam. First priority, jettison the mobile suits we brought so Char can get them. Char. Pilots. Spacesuits on, get outside and board the jettison mobile suits. I'll launch first in my red Zaku and buy time. Dren. Fire every missile flat. They don't know the attack vector or enemy position, So the only doable move is to saturate fire what they have. The missiles streak out horizontally and explode near the sun. Probably self-destructs rather than hits big flashes, and finally the bumper rolls into commercials. This time the stars are Zeon. What makes this so fun is, we start with squabbling on white base, and sure, Amuro and Ryu plan the attack. But the moment the battle begins, our viewpoint shifts to Zeon. Then the hook becomes, how do we finish resupply before the enemy hits us? What must we do next? Capable men push themselves to 100% to 120% to survive the crisis. So viewers inevitably watch from Team Zeon's side. We even hit the bumper and commercials and go, wait, who's the protagonist again? Laughs. And after the break we open on Dren taking command. Still the Zeon perspective. This is Dren, Char's adjutant. Char orders, Dren, cover the Papua. It's a mobile suit attack, not a battleship. He's already in his Zaku Shum, out into space. Dren, Roger, come about 180, quickly. Any blocks with missiles left, fire them all flat toward the sun. Then to his crew, how long to charge the mega particle cannon? 5 minutes, 20 seconds. At come about 180, the Zeon sailor in front of him cranks a ship's wheel, on a space cruiser. Laughs. That retro flavor is part of Gundam's charm. They swing Musai's bow toward the enemy and try to mirror White Base's attack posture. Told it takes 5 minutes 20 to charge. Dren snaps, too slow. We've throttled the main engines too much. Then, third wave incoming. 7, 6, 5, 4. That relentless battle tempo. The POV stays locked on Zeon, and Dren and Gundam, these middle-aged guys, are just absurdly cool. We sometimes cut to core fighters attacking the ship. But we never show Ryu in the cockpit yelling, "Darn you, Zeon!" and firing. None of that. The core fighter's canopy is painted blue. In anime, that signifies impersonal, not the protagonist. If you want viewers to empathize, you draw clear glass and the pilot within. Then the audience POV jumps into the plane. Tinting a canopy is like sunglasses. You hide emotion and block POV transfer by design. So between shots of Zeon veterans holding the line, you intercut faceless planes with sunglasses canopies attacking our Zeon ship, and the sequence becomes beat after beat. Hang on, Zeon! Only then does Gundam appear. It hefts a bazooka-like weapon. Char shoots it down with his machine gun. Char misses the first burst, tags the shell with the second, mirroring Episode 2, where Gundam shoots down a Musai missile. Both Amuro and Char miss once, then nail the incoming round on shot 2. At this point, their capabilities, mobile suit performance included, are effectively even. Amuro has a superior machine but low skill. Char has a weaker machine but high skill. Replaying Episode 2's beats, reversed, proves what the White Base crew felt, the terror of being attacked, is now shown on Zeon's side through Char. Gundam, the grizzled vet, growls, "All right then, let's fight back." The POV tilts even more to Zeon. At last, Gundam vs. Zaku, head-to-head. As the line, "Use the sun at your back," keeps repeating, they clash 3 times in blinding backlight. Bang, bang, bang. In silhouette, Zaku and Gundam look evenly matched. But Amuro is tossed around by Char's tactics. Gundam reels and wobbles. Char. Heh. I'll show you. Performance alone doesn't decide a battle. He shoulder checks Gundam hard. Amuro yelps. Even point-blank machine gun fire can't hurt Gundam. Think back to Episode 1, Steiner, Jean, the Zeon soldier who started this war. He yelled, "Its mobile suit can't move, firing!" Then panicked. "Zaku machine gun isn't working? Why?" And tried, "Close-range fire should do it." Here, after battering Gundam with tackles, Char thinks this should work, and fires. But it's blocked. The Zaku machine gun does nothing. Amuro snaps, "Damn you, Char," and peppers Zaku with the Gundam's tiny 60mm head Vulcan, forcing Zaku back. So Char's Zaku machine gun barely affects Gundam, but Gundam's head gun does have effect on Zaku. That's the performance gap. Amuro thinks, "I can do this," and burns through bazooka rounds. Out of warheads, he finally notices Char's Zaku behind him. "Behind me?" And Char lunges. Too slow. Char's logic. No matter its armor, if your back is taken, you lose. Noticing now is too late, hence, too slow. From behind, Char parries Gundam's counter with his left, heaves up with his right, and smashes Gundam in the belly. The cockpit is in the abdomen. Both Zeon and Federation suits put the cockpit in the torso, because the waist moves least. People debated cockpit placement for man-ridden giants since the 1950s and 60s. By that logic, Mazinger Z's pilot rides on the head is most dangerous. The head whips around, it would kill the pilot. Realist robots like Patlabor and Gundam put the cockpit at the waist, where a human center of mass sits. Char doesn't know Federation specs, but the shape screams cockpit in the waist, so he punches Gundam's gut. That body blow is a liver shot, the most punishing punch in boxing. Gundam's cockpit is a core fighter folded into the abdomen. Amuro sits there, so being targeted there is worst. Zaku hoists and slams up into the belly. Gundam goes flying. You'd think, "Got him!" Amuro screams, but then steadies it with thrusters. That was close. Char can only mutter, Damn. Federation mobile suits are monsters? Meanwhile, Dren radios, whining. Major Char, return! Musai still can't fire the megaparticle cannon. They throttled down, so charge time is 5. Char, what about the Zakus? Haven't you received them yet? Dren, looks like the Papua's catapult is down. Char, we must at least secure the Zakus. I'm coming. He can't beat that monster of a Federation suit, and now his adjutant pleads, Major, what do we do? The mega cannon's still not ready. Wait, you still haven't received the Zakas? Their catapult's busted. So Char just says, I'm coming right now, and heads out. Rough day, laughs. Bright's job is hard because he's green. Char's is hard because he's too capable. Classic small company problem. Call the president right now. If the boss is too competent, he solves everything. Everyone waits for his orders. Worse, this captain wears red, rides a conspicuous red mobile suit and rushes out first. Terrible in war. Laughs. Back when Zeon had plenty of veterans and material, like Dozal says, that style still worked for Char. Even if a ship captain, Char, jumped into a red mobile suit and led from the front, which is like the captain of USS Enterprise, CVN-65, personally taking off in a fighter. Said that way, you feel the absurdity, straight out of Independence Day. Even if Japan were invaded, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe wouldn't hop into an F-15, but Char's doing exactly that, strictly forbidden in real. When Zeon had seasoned officers, overwhelming forces, and abundant supply, Char's recklessness could even be praised. Idolized. But as Dozal says, that era is over. Even so, Char tries to fix everything himself, doing his best, his way. That very doing his best makes subordinates over-rely on him. Each side's win condition here is different. For white base, use this chance to crush Char. Before resupply completes, Musai should be weak. Sink it now, and white base wins. For Char, winning this battle isn't required. If he resupplies, his odds improve in the next battle, then the next. So Zeon can break off any time. Resupply is the goal. Failing it and losing white base long-term would be Char's defeat. Different win conditions. White base versus Zeon. White base is anxious and thinks, we must destroy the enemy. Zeon says, if we just resupply, even if white base reaches Luna 2 or anywhere else, we'll eventually seize Gundam and ship it to Zeon. In fact, in the opening call, Lieutenant General Dozal orders, let Musai be wrecked if needed, just capture the Federation's mobile suit. Char answers, understood. So if they can prize away that new mobile suit, Zeon wins, no matter if it takes months. Bright, lacking a long-term vision, gets nervous unless he crushes the enemy before him. With that tunnel vision, white base's strategy options are narrow. How was that? The free section ends here. For the recording, I sported my usual glorious bedhead. Quite a sexy mess, wasn't it? Laughs. Everyone's spamming, bedhead, bedhead. It really stings my. It's not that I fixed it. I got a haircut yesterday. Laughs. 2 takeaways from part 1. Different wind conditions, and Char rushing to the front keeps his subordinates from maturing. In the second half, at last, 5 minutes 40 seconds later, the mega particle cannon finishes charging. Beloved Adjutant Dren's counterattack finally begins. All set? Please switch over to the paid broadcast.